Good morning. Good morning. It is so morning. Oh my God, I just got another alert. What is going on? I hope I can find it. Good Lord. Yes. This is not good. Listen, reporters can't sleep. I could never be a reporter. Having to be on top of all this stuff constantly. Every time you get something new, you got to go on and report it before it becomes old news. You see this insanity? I don't know how people can stand it. But we got to do it, people. We got to do it. We're going to try to look somewhat decent. Good morning, Tracy and Lisa Z. Jersey Shore. Good morning. All right, so we got stuff to report, people. We can't dilly-dally. Good morning, LD and Michelle. Having my coffee, researching, and I'm like, OMG, this guy was cryptic. Brian Laundrie was cryptic. Okay, this is good as it gets. Oh, that's okay, Tracy. Well, it was members only. I know. Wish you could have been there. You missed out on amazing stuff. But you'll be with us soon. Okay. All right, so let's get into it. Oh, God. Waking up. Listen, I haven't even put eye drops in my eyes. I can't help it. I'm on this. Okay. This is very interesting. I have so many interesting things. All right, so we're going to start out with this guy. Okay, here we go. Let me do this one. That one's got to go because that one. Okay, so here we go. This is interesting. So about 500 miles from the family's home in Northport. So 500 miles north in Baker, Florida. This showed up this is Monday. I'm telling you, this family got him out of there. Right? They said they haven't seen him since Tuesday. Monday, on a trail cam, this guy picked this up. Look at the backpack. Look at that backpack. Do you see this? Picked up on a deer trail camera on his property. This was his backpack. Here it is, sitting on the seat in the van, yapping about how he's making salmon and salad. Right here is his backpack. Same backpack. Same backpack. So that would have been on Monday. That means, he's been gone for a while. His family kept covering for him. They know what he did. And they got him out of there. Good morning, Cece. So, here's some other photos. Okay, so I got to figure out where I want to start. Anyway, so that was Monday, that this guy with a backpack was walking through another guy's property who has deer cams, right? Deer trail cameras, picked up, and it looks just like Brian, 500 miles north of his parents' home. So the fact that he may be in Alabama, that is not far from the truth. I'm thinking he hitchhiked a lot. He hitchhiked. This is before. Now listen, think about this. I think he has been gone since before people would know who he is. Do you see what I'm saying? Like Gabby missing and all this. I mean, he may have brought the van back to the parents' house, but I mean, come on. These people, they're always a step ahead. Now, rumor has it that the mom, we're going to look that up. Okay, we're going to look that up. So let's go back to the van and all that stuff. Gabby worked as a pharmacy tech to save money for the trip. They have never mentioned him having a job, period, ever. in this whole scenario. So this was, oh boy. All right, so this was his bedroom. This was his bedroom. Oh, good God. This was his bedroom. Notice, this is, I'm going to shut off my, all right, so this was some creepy, cryptic drawing he did of people slaughtering each other in his room. Does this even look like a room where a girl had, she lived there too with him. Does this look like a room where a girl had any control over, does it even look like a girl lived in here? I mean, really, look at it. So here is this cryptic drawing of people slaughtering each other. Here's the series, The Watchmen. Here's a gun. And there's a Darth Vader mask. This was the bedroom he shared with Gabby. Any girl I know wouldn't have lived in this room without putting a girly touch on it. Something's just not right. All right, so I'll show you up close the gun wrapped in the what appears to be the flag. Then some weird hatchet thing. This is like a child, like a man child. Oh my God. Okay, so here, from the video they made, was the inside of the van. It basically, this would be the driver and passenger seat behind the bed. That's a curtain. So they created a bed that they slept on, and then the back doors would be this way, you know, open, so you can see inside. So they really didn't go elaborate or expensive on, I mean, the wood and everything, yeah, probably insulation, but they really didn't go elaborate on the van. I'm assuming there was no, solar panels, inverters, you know what I'm saying, converters. I'm assuming there was none of that. It was mostly a camping situation. They'd even pulled a tent out and slept in a tent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's no girl stuff in that room. Okay, so this is interesting. So when they were pulled, okay, here's a better picture of it, of how it looked inside. Here's a better picture. See? You know, most people, when they outfit these, the bed's in the back, they have a kitchen in there. They just kind of had totes and, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just drive and camp. There's no cooking area. Most people put in a cooking area. It was just a bed with some totes under it. Now get a load of this shit. So when the police pulled them over, on 8/12, August 12th, the police did open the back of the van and take a picture. Look at it. Look at the difference. They couldn't even sleep in there. You see the difference? Complete disarray. Complete disarray. Yeah, big difference, right? So it looked like that in their video, and then when the police took a picture of it, it was just a mess. Which is why her anxiety was probably through the roof, because she liked everything to look really good so she could film, and yeah, just complete disarray. Did you know that Gabby was warned by a Utah park ranger that her relationship with Brian was it seemed toxic? A Utah park ranger told Gabby that it seemed like her relationship with Brian was toxic. Okay? So here we go. We're going to go back to this guy, Sam Bass, that picked up what appears to be Brian on his deer trail camera. There's that backpack that was on the seat of that van. Sam Bass told investigators that he believes Brian was on his property, and it's 500 miles north of Northport, Florida. And this was on Monday. The Monday the parents said that they hadn't seen him since Tuesday. Well, this was the day before. They said they didn't see him. He's been gone a while. They're throwing them off with the Carlton Reserve and all this. But there was a rumor, now I don't know if the rumor's true, that he's not this, he's trying to stay way ahead of the police, right? We know he has a cell phone on him. People are like, I hope he has a chart. Like, how is he plugging it in? Okay, there are battery packs and solar. There's portable solar. Listen, if you are a hiker and you hike in the woods, in the mountains, you've learned survivalist things. You've learned how to keep your cell phone charged in case of emergency. There is foldable solar. You can pull out. You can charge things. Now, it takes a while with solar, so you'd have to make sure. Florida, Sunshine State. Do you see what I'm saying? So, I don't know, but there was a rumor that he turned on his phone and went on Spotify. Remember, that's where Gabby would upload music, her favorite music. There was a rumor that it pinged back at Carlton Reserve, which is why I think they went back to search. That could even be set up. Is anyone keeping an eye on the family? That could be set up. He could be out there with a burner phone, for all we know. Because these people are keeping him away from being caught. By the way, I seen a picture of his mother. He don't look like his father. I really think he has been gone since the first week. Yeah, me too. I do too. And that's why, they were helping him before Gabby's parents figured out that they needed to file a missing persons. I think they've been running something the whole time. Okay, so let's move on. And that was at 6:17 a.m. on that Monday in the town of Baker, Florida, 500 miles away from Laundrie's home. He said, I'm not saying this is the guy, but whoever was on my trail camera this morning in Baker strongly fits the description of Brian Laundrie. Authorities have been contacted, but people in the Northwest Florida area be on the lookout. So, let's move on. Okay, so let's get into his crypticness, okay? This is a cryptic dude. We already know that. I've shared all his weird shit. And he's always all over the place, trying to share his mind. This was going on for months and months. Okay, so I feel like he was having some sort of mental crisis, whether it be schizoid disorder. I don't even know. But I'm pretty sure his parents knew he was a strange. They're strange. What am I talking about? Here we go. So, Brian Laundrie apparently shared cryptic and foreboding images and messages on Pinterest. He was even on Pinterest sharing this shit. Pinterest. Including one last month that read, "Don't try to find me. I have finally escaped my master's wicked clutches." A month ago. Do you think he was planning this? Or was he talking about his mind? That he finally lost his mind? I mean, how would you take this? Don't try to find me. I have finally escaped my master's wicked clutches. Okay. The 23-year-old, who has been named a person of interest in Long Island native's homicide, appeared to post under the account at B Laundrie 1197. Let's see. And the news outlet noted that the account shares albums with a page belonging to Gabby and his mother, Roberta. You never know. His mom has been known to be out there, but I don't know. This was a month ago. And here's the image, which is heaven. He put up a one called The Opposite of Lost. And that's when it said, "Don't try to find me. I have finally escaped my master's wicked clutches. To the others, I say, join me. Bite the hand that feeds you." What in the literal? Looks like heaven or inside his mind. Nobody knows. It's unclear when it was posted. Another post in the folder titled "My Heart" contains a quote from the 1999 movie Fight Club that reads, "It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything." About 5 weeks ago, a post in a folder titled "Bleak" referred to the book Burnt Out, How to Cope with Autistic Burnout, according to the news outlet. So this is another disturbing post by Sashay Saranj that he put up. The artwork was designed by Sashay Saranj. "Let me go, let her go, God bless her wherever she may be." And then it's got a tombstone with "My baby." Okay. It's got musical instruments, bones, a clown, some creepy ghosts, other clowns, one doing like this. He creeps me the fuck out. So once again, this was caught on a man's trail cam on the Monday before the parents called the police and said their son, they hadn't seen him since Tuesday. This would be the day before that. Monday, 6 a.m., Baker, Florida, 500 miles away from the parents' home. So look at the backpack. And then here's the backpack on the seat of the van on YouTube. There's the backpack sitting on the seat. Yeah, he is very creepy. Okay. Now, I dug into some of the parents. Well, the mom, the dad, whatever. Freaks. So, once again, here's his bedroom. Here's his bedroom again. Here is the Watchmen series of books. No evidence that Gabby or a girl even lived in this room. This is like the room of a 12-year-old, maybe 14. Cryptic drawing of slaughtering, lots of slaughtering. Some creepy thing up here with knives. Gun. I will expand that so you can see. Gun. Darth Vader mask. What else we got in this room? What a weird. Okay, so the other things I've uncovered, people were like, well, where did this family get money? Like, it just, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it looked like a 14-year-old's room. Okay, so now we're just going to gab about... no, this is his room recently. These are pictures. FBI pictures. Let's see. Because there are pictures. Yeah, they tried to... Listen, the parents tried to sell that house. They have sold a string of homes, trying to make profits, and, you know, like people do, flipping or whatever. I don't even know. The house has never looked flipped. So they sold a house in New York. They made a little bit of a profit, maybe 40 grand, right? I thought they've been on the trip 4 years. They were on a trip from July 2nd until she disappeared. It's like 7 weeks. Okay. So obviously you know nothing about this case. You're going to have to like catch up. Because we can't, no. They've only been on a trip. They were supposed to be on it for 4 months. They didn't even make it 2 months. I just wish her parents were more involved with her. Oh, they are. They're waiting to get her body home, and they said they will be making a statement. Or you mean more involved? You know, girls that go through a toxic relationship, the last person they're going to tell is their parents, because they don't want their parents to think they made a bad choice. So she's going to try to fix Brian, make him perfect. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a thing girls like Gabby do. They see something that they could nurture and love and fix, and it doesn't always happen, especially if you're dealing with someone who is basically psychopathic. I mean, there's nothing you can do. Okay, so they had a home in New York, and they had a condo in Florida, which is very common. Well, they sold their home in New York during the before the pandemic. They sold their home in New York, moved to Florida. They moved into their condo. So they had a condo down in Venice, Florida. They sold the condo, and then they had another house in Florida. And they moved into that house, and they sold that house. They were people that went in, did minimal, and flipped it. Because the money they made was like, it was just a little bit. Like trying to just build your savings account kind of shit. And then they moved into this house. They tried to sell this house. They bought it for $120,000. They were trying to sell it for way more, and nobody would bite it. So that was 2015. They were trying to sell this house that they're in. And then nobody would bite on it, even when they were lowering it. And finally, they just gave up and took it off the market 2018. Okay? So now they're going to be selling it. Trust me. And you'll be lucky if anybody buys it now. But yes, the rumor is they're going to be selling. Well, of course they are. The neighbors hate them. Everybody hates them. No, that's a different Brian. Tina B, that's a different Brian Laundrie on the internet. Everybody keeps saying that. He was 23 years old. He was born in 1997. People are starting a lot of rumors. Like this one guy on TikTok said that they found a body hanging in a tree in Alabama and it was Brian. No, not true. None of it was true. Yeah. Wide mouth cup and a wide mouth bitch. Okay, so here's some other stuff. Let's go find it. Oh my gosh. This guy, man, it's almost like he's been training for this day. That's how I feel. That's just how I feel. Like he's been training for this day. Like, he said things like, till death do us part, or until I wake up. Just weird shit. I mean, I know that was supposed to be his wedding vows. It's like, okay. Well, his birthday's in November, so technically he's 23, and he was going to be 24 in November. Okay, so... He loved pushing his cryptic, bizarre things. He was so opinionated about, like, things in the world. He made comments like, you know, read books. He was an avid reader. Read books. Don't melt your brain by social or by the media. I mean, he used to eat. He didn't, like, people are like, what's that bowl made of? Like, there's a picture of him eating out of a bowl on a mountain, and he's barefoot, and the bowl's sitting there, and he's got the spoon in his mouth far away. That wasn't a bowl. He actually eats out of the rind of a melon. Because he doesn't believe in plastic or wasting or paper plates or paper bowls and plastic. He won't drink out of a water bottle. And I'm pretty sure the backpack he's toting around is made out of some sort of not biodegradable material. But this was just his way of being large. Creating his own following of extreme social justice warrior shit. About the environment and about social media, but he was on every social media. So these people that try to get people to, you know, follow their craziness are usually doing the opposite. So stop following people, please. Stop following people. Things can be recycled. So just don't listen to crazy people. Okay, here we go. So, social media sleuths, they're giving their take on theories, right? So, let's see. Let's get into this autistic burnout thing he put on Pinterest. The story will continue to unfold. I think Brian was abusive and controlling, and Gabby was doing everything he hated by documenting their trip. Well, and that's typical. Let's say we're dealing with, a narcissist, but at a dangerous level, because there's dangerous levels. And maybe he's at psychopath, which is the worst. Let's just put him at sociopath, where he actually has fear. Fear of going to prison, which is maybe why he's on the run. Or maybe he feels free. I don't know. But let's just put him at sociopath level, okay? It's their world. And you need to get in line. Most of it is built on trauma, abuse, and this is their coping. This is the way they cope. Control. Now, if you get into schizoid disorders, he also has delusions and paranoia. That's very dangerous. You can't fix that. And as much as she tried to plead with him about how much better things would be with this, he's fighting her the whole way because it's going to elevate. You know what I mean? Elevate either his anxiety. He even told the police. Oh, we both have anxiety and mental illness. I think he's the one that had mental illness. The father even said she's never, ever had mental illness. Now, her freaking out is fear. Trust me, in 2 years, he has defined her fear. He knows her fears. He uses them against her. And this has become a very toxic relationship, right? So they go on the road together. Biggest mistake she could make. If you watch her YouTube channel, she loved everything to be perfect. Remember when she even did the tent? She even set the tent up where you seen a beautiful red rock behind it and photographed it. The inside was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So she had this way about her of capturing things in beauty. And then she's with him, who is against watching videos, against, I mean, this was doomed. This was doomed. It was doomed. And then everybody started and then he always like draws these like a princess with blood on her mouth, like he was into the author of Fight Club. He had his life changed at 7 years old after, you know, reading Hellboy, the son of Satan. Like there's so many things that play into his cryptic mind. Now, do you believe this was for attention? I'm beginning to believe no, because it was a cross. He had to keep putting it everywhere except their YouTube channel. See, he had to pretend that he was this happy boyfriend doing yoga on a mat in this little sunshine Tweety Bird world. And I think it was like really getting to him because he wanted his stuff out there. Even when he got pulled over by the police and they said, hey, can I get you a water? It's out in the desert. It's hot as hell. He said, no, thanks. And I don't drink out of plastic bottles. Like everywhere he went, he had to put his thing. He had to let people know. He didn't approve. Do you see what I'm saying? Even when she was doing her website in that cafe, he was pacing. He was pacing like a captured cat. You know what I'm saying? He was pacing. And then he finally, like, whatever got to him, he finally just said to her, you're never going to do this. He didn't believe in her. You know what I mean? Like on purpose to get her to do what he wanted. If he could knock her down, then he could have control over her. I think she was at the end of her rope, too. I mean, there comes a point where you realize you're not going to change somebody. And you run. You run. Run. Okay, so let's go to the autistic burnout. Okay, so he posted this on there about the autistic burnout. I'll read it to you again. He put a title of an article called Bleak. And it referred to the book Burnt Out, How to Cope with Autistic Burnout. It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. Okay, so autistic burnout is when people with autism can't do what they used to do because of the little energy they have left. It takes a lot more energy to function while being autistic and doing basic tasks like remembering to eat or do laundry. One synopsis read, exhaustion leaves us with a feeling of weakness and exhaustion. One user reportedly noticed a disturbing message. Oh yeah, with my baby inscribed on a gravestone. Right. Okay, so about in the Burnt Out, How to Cope with Autistic Burnout, he added, let her go, God bless her, wherever she is. That was 5 weeks ago. Now, I don't believe he has autism, but I think he felt like the burnout. I think he felt the burnout, which he might have been, and maybe he was schizophrenic bipolar. Maybe he was in a manic state. And then we know what happens after a manic state. The crash. The crash. Which he could be referring to in burnout. My question, or I'm gonna guess that instead of seeking help, I mean, he's young. Most schizophrenic are diagnosed in their very early 20s. I I don't know. I'm beginning to believe he would have been more classified under schizophrenic bipolar than narcissistic, because the invisible monsters, the visions he had, the fantasies he had were very disturbing. That is not typical in narcissistic personality disorder. It's not. This is more in line with living in a non-reality world in your brain. It's a miswiring of sorts. And their reality is so chaotic in their mind. And you are not part of the problem, but they need you to do what they need you to do, because there's too much white noise going on. Way too much. Way too much. So when you're over here interrupting their reality with reality, they can't handle that. They have to, it's really weird. My friend had it. I witnessed it. I witnessed all of it. And it's a clashing of realities. He's living here, and she's living here. She sees the world, sunshine, butterflies, social media, traveling, and he's going along, but he can't live in this reality because he's got this one. And she knew all this. Trust that. I mean, she was with him for 2 years. And I think she was trying to nurture him and fix him. He had no friends. My friend had no friends. Nobody could put up with her craziness. And some people's craziness, like my friend had, one of them fatty tumors. No, the government put a tracking device in her. And she was always looking for them with her feet in a bucket of cold water. That was her reality. She was paranoid, schizophrenic, bipolar. And she refused to medicate herself because she loved the creativity, the euphoria. And when she took medication, she ended up in this world. If he would have took his medication, he would have left the dark images, the Hellman or Hellboy, the Fight Club, the Siraj Siraj. He would have left the wolf man with the knives and the blood, and he would have come over to here. And they don't like the calmness. It makes them feel like they're not who they are. If he's been suffering from this for years, I would say at least 3 years, he came to terms with everything that was his reality. And she kept interrupting it. And the parents, it's a sad story because they could have researched what was going on with their son and possibly got him some help that he needed. My friend never got help until the day they took her son away. I mean, this was the second child CPS took away from her, my friend, because she would refuse to be medicated and then put her son, like when her son was like, I want to go home. I don't want to be here. Let's go home, Mom. I want to see my friends. And it broke into her reality. She was like, oh my God, you are like the devil. Don't you see what's going on here? So my friend filled a bathtub full of water and held her son's head under the water to calm him down. And she didn't even realize she was drowning him. And the police came because the people staying in the hotel room next to them, thank God it wasn't at her house, or she probably would have killed him. But the police came, beat the door down, and she's trying to justify it to the police. He was upset. I had to calm him down. They said, ma'am, you were drowning your son. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. You see what I'm saying? She was in this world. He was in this world. And when he tried to snap her out of it, that's when things happen. Which could have happened with Gabby and Brian. There could have been a clash of worlds, the realities. He might have been in a manic state. And the only thing you can do when somebody's in a manic state is you quietly leave and don't look back, because it becomes very dangerous. Very dangerous. Unmedicated manic state. Now, a lot of people with bipolar or schizophrenic disorder, instead of taking medication, they end up on hardcore drugs, trying to quiet the voices. I also know those people. Heroin, meth. There's a lot of mentally ill people on the streets taking hardcore drugs, trying to anesthetize the voices. And this, with all the cryptic stuff, all the weird stuff that he envisioned, believed, identified with, the key word is he identified with this stuff. Like it had to be in his room. He had to draw it. He had to make stamps. He had to put it all over his social media. This isn't just some once in a while something weird comes out of his mouth. No, this is his world, his reality. He even said it. I mean, it's like he was screaming for help. He said, "You have no idea what you've done for me," the author of Hellboy. When I was 7 years old, it changed his world. That's when it began. Jeffrey Dahmer, he was very young when, he was killing animals animals before pets, and it unlocks something. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there is mental illness involved here. You can see it. It wasn't even about her being above him and out of his league. I mean, that anybody was. At this point, anybody was. His parents are coddling his mental illness. That's what they're doing. They know something was wrong with him. Oh my God. They know. They did nothing. Or they tried. I don't know. They haven't said a word. So, maybe they blame themselves. I don't know. Maybe they didn't realize that that these things happen, and it really kicks in when you're like 20-some. That's probably when you'll have your first real manic, crazy encounter. Because my friend was in her 20s. The other person I know who is schizophrenic, his started at 22, 21. And shot him up. If you can't reach out to your parents, this is going to end badly. Overdose, or somebody else is going to lose their life because of your mental state of mind during manic disorder. My friend would drag her son everywhere when he was manic, and he knew to call me, and I would go get him anywhere he was. And I did. School nights, 3 a.m. She's got him in a 24-hour store in a manic state. And he's got school in the morning. She didn't see his reality world, that her son had needs and he needed a stable life and he needed to go to school. All she seen was her reality. I mean, it was just doomed. 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 This is so identical to the way my friend acted. She wrote all the time. She read all the time. She had to listen to music to calm her mind. She couldn't stand TV. Hated TV. She showed up at my house one time. I don't know why. She would just, sometime in the morning I would go outside. She's sleeping on my lawn. "Oh, I was just waiting for you to let the dog out. I needed you to let the dog out." When she'd be in manic states, she'd sleep on beaches. She had a house. She liked to be outside all night. So she would sleep on the beach. She would hike the beaches instead of being at home in bed. So one time she showed up at my house, rang my doorbell. I looked out the window. I said, "Oh, good God, here we go." You know what I'm saying? I was watching a Tigers baseball game by myself in the living room. And she came in. I invited her in. What I know now today, I probably wouldn't have been as involved as I was. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm kind of like, if you don't like my world, get the hell out. So she comes in, she sits down on the floor. Now I'm watching the Tigers game, right, on TV. And it's quiet, kind of shit. And it's just, yay. It's quiet. It's not like I'm watching some insane sounding. She didn't like the quiet. Now, if I would have been watching MTV videos, dating myself here, if I would have been watching like videos, she would have been so happy. But I was watching a Tigers game. It was really quiet. That messed with her manic state. She dumped her purse on my floor, was going through her purse. She was literally in a manic mode. And my TV, because it wasn't music, she had music on in every room of her house. And it didn't even have to be the same channel. Oh my God. It'd make your head just swim. And so she was going through her purse and she goes, "Can you turn that off on my TV?" I said, "I'm watching the Tigers game. I've waited all day for this. I have to always snap her back into my reality. You just intruded on my space." I said, "I waited all day for this game. You showed up at my house, dumped your purse in the middle of my living room, and you're telling me to turn my TV off? Get the hell out of my house if you don't like it." And then she was like, I'm sorry. And she just kept going through her purse. And I'm just like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? I was trying to think that she was living in my idea of reality. And the truth was, she wanted me to conform to her crazy ideas. And I never would. You know what I'm saying? So it would be impossible to live with someone like this. In fact, her husband worked 3 jobs. He was never home. Never. He even worked at a casino in the middle of the night. Like, he literally worked 3 jobs. And I think it was just for her son. Just like I stayed in her life, just for her son. He needed to know he had people to count on. And yes, I showed up many places and picked him up. She has no idea what time things are either. So at 3 a.m. when I got a phone call from him in a panic from a payphone that his mom was running around the store with the cart at 3 a.m. like, I gotta do, and he's like, he goes, "Can you come get me?" And he goes, "I need to go to school. I need to go home. Like, she's acting crazy and everybody's looking at us." And I said, "I'll be right there." So here I do, get dressed, 3 a.m. I drive to this 24-hour big store. It's like a Walmart. It's a Myers. And I said, just stay by the payphone. And so I show up. I got my purse on. I grab a cart. Like, I had to know how to play her mind games. So, or she wouldn't have let me take him. So I take a cart, and then he kind of points over to where she's at. And I'm cruising through there, right? And I run into her. I go, "Oh, my God. Hey." And she's like, "Oh, hey." Da, 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 da. And I go, "What are you doing?" I didn't say what time it was, because that implies crazy. So then her son comes around the corner, and I go, "Hey, Eric." And I said, my son's name, "He's been asking about you." I go, "Is there any way he could just come home with me? Because my son has just been so upset missing him. And then you can just keep on shopping." And she was like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good idea." And I said, "It's okay. I got clothes at the house that he can wear, to school. It's all good." And I left with him. Like, you had to know how to play the game to get her kid away from her. And then I hid him at my house for 4 days. Hid him. My car was in the garage. It was the weekend. It was like Thursday night. He went to school Friday. I brought him back home to my house. He stayed for the whole weekend. I kept all the blinds shut. She kept showing up, knocking on the door, and I knew she was in a manic state, so I just waited for her to come out of it. And you knew when she came out of it, because she wasn't driving around acting all crazy. So on Sunday, I drove over to the house to kind of test her out with her son. I said, oh my God, I'm sorry. We took him, camping, and we didn't have a signal. Because I did shoot her a text. But my point was, you had to know how to play the game, or it could get really bad. Now, her family tried to aggressively take her son, and that's when she jumped in the car with him and disappeared, which is the most dangerous thing you can do. And that's when she went into a full manic state. She tried to tear her dash apart. She cleaned the whole inside of her car with one of them car wash things, trying to get rid of evidence and FBI or a government tracking device, all this crazy stuff that went through her mind. She thought her car was, had bugging devices everywhere. She ripped the whole dash apart with her hands. Her son was freaking out. Then they ended up in a hotel, and that's when all that went down, and the police took him away, and she never got him back. And that should have been, the parents, they just didn't know how to handle it, so they got really aggressive with her, which made it worse. So this is what you're dealing with, and I have a feeling it got very, very aggressive. Gabby was trying either to get away from him or really hard to tell him he's crazy. And that's the worst thing you do. Then all those images and voices will just flood him, and it becomes his reality. And I don't know if her demise was because of a manic moment of schizophrenia. I'm only comparing to what I saw in real life. As to this weird stuff, my friend used to write the weirdest. Hers wasn't evil. Hers was all a life she dreamed of mixed with paranoia. It was weird. The thing she used to write and write and write and write every night. Write. I go, who? She wouldn't watch TV. She wouldn't watch movies. Nothing. Yeah, she died. She died in her sleep. Yeah. It's all crazy. She was in a group home, in a mental group home, after they took her son away. But she was still, I ran into her, and she was still, to me, off the rails. So I don't know if she was even taking her medication, to be honest with you. And the last time I seen her, she was still, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I said, oh my gosh. And her son was grown by then and taken away. And she never even spoke of him when I seen her. Now, I spoke to him. I stayed friends with him on Facebook to follow his life. He went to college. Now, if he ends up with this same thing, it'll be really sad. I hope he don't, because his dad doesn't have it. So I'm really hoping he don't, because he's already had a life of hell as a child. So I don't know. And maybe this is what happened to Brian. Maybe he had a life of hell with strange parents. I don't know. I knew somebody like that, and he would write and always ask for Scotch tape. Yeah, it's very strange. And you can tell by his drawings, writings, his a need to fit in. He had no friends, that he was suffering. And I'm not saying what he did. I mean, somebody in their life should have recognized what was going on, especially his parents. Should have never let them go. They should have pulled Gabby aside and said, Gabby, this is not a good idea. They should have reached out to her parents saying, listen, my son needs some mental help. There's things going on with him that are not right. And, you know what I'm saying? I think they were afraid of him. I got to be honest. Or the father or the mother suffered from this same fate. Because people aren't talking. This is so weird. Even Brian's sister is very vague. She ain't allowed to talk to him. Something's weird. The whole thing is weird. They're protecting mental illness. I don't know. They didn't want people to know. Of course not, because then they look bad. Or they suffer from it too. I mean, they were just buying and selling houses. The girl I was friends with was one of those types that can be dangerous when in an episode. She was very scary. Yes, I worked with one that was very scary and manic. She plucked a girl's eyeball out because the girl looked at her wrong. This is what I'm talking about. Mental illness unchecked That's why I get so angry when the government ignores all these people on the streets, intense and mental illness, and it can become dangerous. Them against each other. I'm gonna tell you what. There's a whole area full of that. What's it called? Slab City? It is sad. Yes, the side effect of the meds, it takes them below normal. It takes them to a zombie state where they're just like this. You know what I'm saying? Lithium, all the meds. They're just like this. They feel nothing. They're numb. But that's how you have to do it. He died from his medication. See, the whole thing's bad. They closed down all the mental institutions where you could be monitored. And everybody's just running around willy-nilly unmedicated, which makes it a danger. I mean, people are like, there's so much evil in the world. No, there is more mental illness situations out there that turn evil than there is actual evil people. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's the truth. And I'm going to tell you right now, one of those postings, those creepy postings, was 62 weeks ago. Those parents know. The older stuff I was showing you. Those parents know their son was suffering. Gabby knows he was suffering. I'm telling you. She was trying to fix him. She should have gave up. If the parents didn't care, she should have went to live a great life in New York with her parents. I'm just saying. You can't fix people. And if they can be, like, this whole trip probably set off his mania. And it went to a very dangerous mode. Because whatever, what do you call them? The silent monsters. The silent monsters. The invisible monsters in his brain. That they eventually took over. Because he was out of his element. His home, his bedroom, his parents. He was across country. And we already know. People that just even suffer from anxiety. Going on a trip. Have to do some, meditation. Not medication, meditation. You know what I'm saying? And so, why don't you throw removing somebody from what he's created as his reality, taking him out of it, and it became hers? He was now living in her reality, which was actual reality. That just set his mania to the moon. Like anything, just kept, I don't even know how to, like, making it bigger. Exasperating. What is the word? What's the word? I'm serious. Like, I've known people with paranoid schizophrenic bipolar and schizophrenic bipolar. And I have watched the episodes. I've heard the stuff they think. He was putting it all over social media. It was exacerbating. Thank you. He was putting it all out there. And now it's being, not a lot of people that were following him, like his mom, she knew he was suffering. This is aggravating as hell. I think she even knew one day he was going to snap. And she protected him because she did nothing to help him for mental health. And what can you do? If your son is 21 or 20 when this kicked in, and you're gonna drag him to the doctor, you're gonna shove the pill down his throat. Are you going to be able to explain to somebody with bipolar they have bipolar and they need medication? Are you gonna be able to do that? Probably not. Well, that's the thing is, this is what I blame his parents for. If they knew he was mentally ill, he had manic episodes, he had dark, cryptic thoughts, and he probably shared them. And he probably, like, everybody in the house had to comply to his, we'll just call it visions or whatever, unchecked Unmedicated, it gets nuttier and nuttier, right? But my thought was, they didn't protect Gabby. They didn't say, no, you're not going to come live with us. Even privately. You know, Brian's got some issues and we need to... I don't think you living here is going to be good for you. You see what I'm saying? They did nothing to protect that girl. Nothing. Oh, thank you, Sunlit. I'm planning a channel about mental illness and how our country's worse. Yeah, it's the horror. We're horrible at dealing with it. My guess is the depression came on, deep depression, and he's ended his life. If he's not still in a manic... I mean, he can't be in a manic state this long. They don't last that long. So you could be right. He could have went into a severe depression once he came out of mania and realized what he did. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's go to the lowest form of mental illness, which I believe is anxiety. Okay? After anxiety episode, then you have a little bit of depression. That's why people with anxiety disorder should never drink alcohol. Because you will go into a deeper depression the next day after drinking alcohol. Okay? You will literally feel like nothing matters. You care about nothing. Do you see what I'm saying? So I just don't recommend people with anxiety disorder drink alcohol because the depression is really bad the next day. That's the truth. Okay, so let's say at the lowest level of anxiety. Now, when you get anxious, it triggers your parasympathetic system. Like your central nervous system goes off. It's like ding, 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 ding. You know what I'm saying? When anxiety kicks in. Now, it can be a real fear, like something's chasing you. You're running for your life. Or it can be an irrational fear, where just walking out the door with your car keys, all of a sudden, panic comes over you. Which it's not about leaving the house. It's about just out of nowhere, your system will fire off, right? Which is why people get hooked on Xanax and stuff to keep their central nervous system at a lull. No, thank you. Learn about it, deal with it, move on. So some people become agoraphobic. They can't even leave the house now because they grabbed those keys, had a panic attack or anxiety attack. Oh my God, and they went right back in the house and locked the doors, and it calmed them down, which is really your sympathetic system kicking in and calming you down. See, your body took over and handled it, right? Fight or flight. So instead of just going out the door and riding it out, getting in your car, continuing on, and letting it subside on its own, people feed into it and don't leave their house. See what I'm saying? So that's your lowest form of mental illness, the anxiety, which can actually change the way you live. So if you don't, go on medication like Xanax, and you have a panic attack, it is going to change what you're doing. Like you could be out eating dinner, talking to a friend, and all of a sudden, and you're like, oh my God. Okay, my heart's racing. I got to get out of here. What's going on? Oh my God. And then they're like, get the bill. We got to go. They won't go out to eat again because they think that's what triggered it. No, it can be triggered anywhere. You can be sitting in a bathtub and it can be triggered, but it won't be as intense because your brain won't say, what's going on? Oh my God. And then you make it way worse than it is. You get a tingle in your body. Your heart skips a beat. Or this is how it begins. Or you get a little sensation in your brain, like what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Once you learn all about it, you know the symptoms. Some people attribute it, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. No, you're not. It's an anxiety attack. Listen, runs in my family like Kool-Aid, okay? So once you educate yourself and you learn about it, you now have a handle on your life. So I feel with Brian, he had way more than anxiety. I think Gabby's anxiety was brought on by his mental illness and him trying to constantly get her to see what he sees. And she couldn't do it. Now, most people in a relationship, they intermingle their loves, their hates, their passions, their dreams. But when you have somebody with maybe schizophrenic bipolar disorder, their reality is now yours. Because they will never be able to come to your side. He tried. He got in the van, went across country because he loves her, but his love is sick because he was untreated. And I think he was the trip set him off a mania like you've never seen. I think the monsters in his brain took over. I think she was going to leave him. She'd had enough. The reason I think he flew home to Florida from the 17th to the 23rd was because he needed to get his reality back. He had to go back home. And I think that's why he went home for a week. But in reality, he wanted to be with her. And that's why I think he got on a plane and went back to her. And then it just went haywire from there. And yeah, depression can be truly terrifying. Truly terrifying. I don't know. I'm not diagnosing him, but he shows all the symptoms of some distorted reality that my friends had. Well, my friend and a family member had. And if you don't seek medication and therapy, every time you go into mania, it's worse and worse and worse. Like the reality gets more skewed. It's terrible. It's brain damage. Every time they go into a manic state, there's more brain damage. And his parents coddled his mental illness and then probably thought, oh, this will be good for him. Oh, let him go. It'll be good for him. They never thought of Gabby. Everything's been about him. Those parents did her a disjustice or by putting her off on him. I think it's terrible what they did, and it shows they never cared about Gabby. All they cared about was trying to fix their messed up son. And here they are again, letting him run whatever he wants. Now he's out there living with the monsters in his head in the woods, or when he hits a severe depression, which when they left a note that says, please don't hurt yourself, tells me that there's been other incidents when he goes into the depression after the manic state, which they do. They're depressed. Of course, I never seen my friend in a depressed state. She seemed like she was in constant mania. Honest to God. Every time I went over there, she never was like curled up in her bed in a fetal position sleeping for 16 hours during a depression. Never. She was always twirling around the damn house with music in every room. Like she was in a constant state of mania. I mean, it was crazy. But anyway, now he's running around out there either in a severe depression, suicidal tendency, or he is lost and he needs to be found, and he needs, I think, Lori Daybell. Definitely. Oh my God. When I look of all her crazy zombies and dark light and blah, blah, and Chad just wanted to sleep with her. He just wanted to be with her. And her brother was just as nutty as she was. I mean, did you see how she's not even mentally able to appear in court? Do you think she's schizophrenic? Absolutely. Do you see what I'm saying? Unmedicated. And the sad part is when people try to medicate themselves instead of seeking proper medication. And there are plenty of people on YouTube that have told their story about schizophrenic bipolar and how important it is to get counseling and medication. Or you go off the rails and your reality is, it's not good. So anyway, this is just my putting together all the things that I've seen and the drawings and the writings and the things he believed in, and his world, his reality had a lot to do with cryptic things and knives and slaughters and gore. And that's telling you the end result of what just occurred. It became his reality, where he couldn't differentiate. And a full moon didn't help. I don't know if there was a full moon on that day or not. You're schizophrenic, Gary? Are you treated? I think the trip gave his parents a break from Brian. The sad part is they thought about themselves and their son and not Gabby. This is why he worked at home. Guessing it's probably didn't have a job. Because they only mentioned she worked as a pharmacy tech, trying to save money. She probably knew. Listen, Gabby probably knew he had issues because she lived with him for 2 years and had to deal with episodes. But she was trying to, well, you know what? If we took a road trip, look at these YouTubers, look at these TikTokers. If we took a road trip, maybe getting out of here would help you or whatever. You already know this was a group effort to try to fix Brian. And the truth is, you needed professionals. Because now you made the monsters real. Because he was out of his element. Out of his bedroom. Out of his house. That's what my friend did. Medicated herself. The last thing I heard of, her dad told me she passed of an overdose. Yeah. He even said in one of his writings, this was like a year ago, that he would die by overdose. That's what he said. He would die by an overdose. So, maybe that's what's going to happen. Got to limits. Well, that's good. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself, Gary. Why do you think Gabby's parents let her go on this trip? Could be they wanted a break from Brian and his whatever. Maybe she was such a ray of sunshine, she even convinced them that this would be the best thing for their relationship and for, for him. I don't know. It would be really nice if we learned about whether he was suffering. We're seeing it through all the things he posted on social media, that he thought differently. His parents may have just been worn down and just needed a break. Yeah. Well, because there are parents out there that, okay, there's something not right with my son, right? Like even autistic. So instead of encouraging them and teaching them life skills, they coddle them. Because they feel in some way it's their fault, or that they didn't recognize it, or they don't know what's going on, but they know he's just not right. Do you see what I'm saying? So they bounce back and forth between excusing it away. Eccentric is a word we've heard before, right? Or they don't understand. They bounce between, oh, he's fine, and no, he's not fine. Yes, he's fine. No, he's just, he just gets upset. You know what I'm saying? They're not paying attention to the real things. Like the shit in his room and the cryptic drawings. Like, they didn't pay attention to that? I don't understand. But parents, for some reason, will find a way to make themselves feel guilty. And if we can just, he does very well when we don't bother him, or, you know what I mean? People become able to live with it. And I can see that. If my son suffered from that, he would be getting help immediately, because you aren't doing your son any justice by ignoring it and pretending it don't exist. It's sad. Like my friend, when I'd be sitting outside with her and I'd say, why you got your feet in a bucket? She goes, because when I get mad, I heat up and I can start fires. I go, first of all, you're having a hot flash. Second of all, let me see you start a fire. Listen, we'll make millions. Set that tree on fire with your madness. I always would try to bring her back. You know what I mean? But the truth is, she would fight till the end of her reality. She would fight to the end to make you believe that that was a reality. And I would try to get her to prove it. Maybe it would make her go, okay, I can't start fires. But this is beyond an anxious thing. This is literal visions, literal voices. It is a world. He must have thought he was autistic. He may not have understood himself or his brain, because he did put that writing in there about burnt out, which is about burnout, and that was the autistic burnout. The truth is, autistic people live in their own world, but they don't try to communicate it to the rest of the world. And they're not about evil. Theirs is about, well, he probably read about autism, and you're socially inept, which he was. He probably felt awkward socially. So did my friend. She had no friends but me. And I had read enough about, she was diagnosed, by the way. So Hers was not just me figuring it out. Hers was a real diagnosis, but she refused medication. You should do stand-up. Sometimes I do. No, I'm kidding. Well, Gabby's life, he probably was very jealous of her ability to meet friends and go on social media and just be this beacon of light where he felt like he lived in the dark. This is definitely not autism. He probably didn't understand what was wrong with him. Maybe his parents even said, autism. Maybe he heard the word. I don't know. All I know is something wasn't right. And he had very cryptic visions in his head, which usually goes along with voices or visions is usually schizophrenic, bipolar. And he was either not diagnosed or he was not medicated. I don't know. But it all is coming together. It's not always evil that walks this earth. It is unmedicated mental illness that our country shut off all the doors for help. And it's sad. Because they need help. They don't need to be living in a tent, pissing and shitting on the streets, trying to find drugs to calm the voices or the visions, okay? They need real help. They can't go get medications. They can't get diagnosed. They have no home. They're on the streets. And this is the things that occur when they're left unmedicated. It's sad. Or have no facilities to go to. It's sad. And it needs to change. There's a lot of things that need to change. This humanitarians that we are, letting people come here and providing everything for them and leaving our veterans and our mentally ill on the streets is so backwards. I don't get it. Anyway, if there was enough voices, we could have change. And maybe there'll be Gabby's Law. Maybe there could be something in Gabby's name that helps people. I don't know, but my heart is so broke. You know what I'm saying? My heart is broke that anyone would have to lose their life to change something in this country. And if his parents could come forward honestly and tell us what was going on with him, and it was all a mistake, they should have never you couldn't have stopped them, but they could have had a heart-to-heart with Gabby if they cared about her, instead of using her to keep, their son out of their hair. They were exhausted, I'm sure, burnout. Maybe the mom posted the burnout thing. Maybe that was her under her son's name, posting the burnout thing. She's burnt out. Maybe she thought he was autistic. Maybe he was misdiagnosed. Let's not forget the trail of bodies. That's what I'm saying. Remember, the picture in his room was a mass slaughter. He also read a book about 4 people that went on a journey. 3 ended up dead and 1 came home. Shut up. Go read the New York Post. Go read the New York Post. Yeah, that was the book he was reading, or he read. 4 people go out on a journey, so 3 end up dead and 1 comes home. He came home, the lesbian couple are dead, and so is Gabby. He could have been living out the book. The problem is investigators are living in the real reality, and he was living in book reality. Like, books became his reality. Remember, he said, you gotta read books. Oh my God, TV just melts your brain, but books, you get to live it. I mean, my God, all of it was there. All of it. All of it was there. He wrote it everywhere. All you got to do is piece it all together. He was living the books he read. He was living the art. He was drawing the books he read. I'm telling you. On that note, I bid you farewell. Go investigate this stuff. Go look at, just type in Brian Laundrie's Cryptic Mind or Cryptic Messages, Cryptic Posts, whatever you want to do. They pop up everywhere. Start putting it all together. It's mental illness, okay? Whether it was diagnosed, I don't know. but it is identical. Lori Daybell, her brother Alex, bodies just fell everywhere. And convincing Chad to be a part of her world because he was so attracted to her. He's like, yeah, whatever, crazy lady. As long as we can be together. You're hot. I don't care if my wife's dead. Don't care if your husbands are dead. Do you see what I'm saying? We've already seen this. Now she's unfit for trial. That's because she's been diagnosed. Finally. Do you want to know? Do you want to know the remorse she must be having on medication? If she's been properly medicated, knowing her own children are dead at the hands of her crazy? Wow. And you didn't think, that Brian may be suffering the same thing? It's always monsters and zombies, okay? Yeah, he's not well. He is ill, yes. What do you think about her last Instagram? You know what? I've really been playing that over. I didn't know if she found out she was pregnant, and she's holding this little baby Halloween, or they were going to get married on Halloween. It had some significance to Halloween. I don't know. But somebody said it was an older photo. So I'm thinking, why was it uploaded? Like, it was an older photo of her, but did she put it up because we're going to get married on Halloween? Happy Halloween? Or did she find out she was pregnant and put it up because it looked like a little baby? But she wouldn't have been due on Halloween. My God, that's only like 2 months away. Boy, that is a swampy park. They're searching. Oh, it's terrible. That Carlton Reserve. Ooh. She looked younger and her hair was shorter. You see what I'm saying? So it's an older picture. Has nothing to do about the date that it was taken. Why was it posted as her last post? Were they going to get married on Halloween? Did he convince her to marry him so he would leave her alone, stop acting crazy? And then she just posted that? I don't know. She's not here to tell us, unfortunately. I'm assuming it had something to do with a significant date. Like, he's cryptic. Maybe he wanted to get married on Halloween. Their 4-month trip was supposed to end on Halloween. No, it was supposed to end on October 2nd. The photos were old. Yeah, they were old. Yeah. I think that was the day she passed away. Who knows? He was cryptic. He probably wanted to get married on Halloween. Because they were supposed to get back October 2nd, according to her family. But who knows? Whatever. I don't know how they were running out of money. I don't even know, man. That's the part that's like, did the parents give them a chunk of change because they just wanted Brian to go? Maybe Brian held the money like, you know what? You're being a bitch. I'm not even gonna get any food. So she called her dad and he sent her a pizza, an Uber Eats pizza. She was in that hotel, I think. I think he left her with no money. But her family would have gave her money. If they would have known what was going on, her dad would have flew there and drove back with her and said, "You're never talking to this dude again." And you know what I mean? And sometimes, like people like Gabby, don't blame her parents because they only could react to what they knew. Now, his family knew everything. He flew back. They didn't even call her parents and say, "Listen, Brian flew back. He is, in a really bad state right now. He left her in a hotel. You might want to go and call her or get her, blah, blah, blah. This is what's really going on." I, as a mother, would. If my son suffered from mental illness, first of all, there would be no girlfriend living in my house. My son would be getting treatment. So there's that. I think Brian posted it for some cryptic reason. I think he wanted to get married on Halloween because he liked... it's not really Satan's holiday, but, it's gore and blood. I mean, honestly, it's that simple. You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. How did he get home? He flew the first time. 17th through the 23rd, he flew home. Said he had to get their stuff out of the storage unit in the middle of a trip. He left for a week. And this was the day before. He flew out the day before the lesbian couple's bodies were found. Oh, thank you for having. He flew home the day before the lesbian bodies were found. Now remember, the fight they had on the 12th took place right in front of the moon. What is it? The moon, whatever. Co-op, where Kylan, one of the ones that were killed, worked. So in his distorted reality, he may have thought she was the one that called 911 and called the cops on him. But it wasn't. It was a guy in a car. Yeah, he probably wanted her to wear a black wedding dress and dress like some bloody witch. Who knows? He was messed up, dude. So anyway, he flew home on the 17th to the 23rd, out of nowhere in the middle of their trip, right? Left her in a hotel. Probably left her with no money because her dad sent an Uber Eats. Or she just wanted Uber Eats and dad said, I'll send you a pizza. Or she said, I'm craving a pizza and I'm stuck in this hotel. I don't know. We don't know how it all played out. The parents will be talking as soon as her daughter's body is home. They've already said it. And they're going to blah, 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 blah. Guaranteed. The friends were already like, she was such a ray of sunshine. She was such a beautiful spirit. And he constantly was trying to control that. He was always trying to take her energy. See? Her friend's already saying it. I know, it's all crazy. Then he flew home. Then he flew back. They checked out of the motel on the 24th. And then they went on to the Grand Teton Park. And last time her mom heard from her was the 25th. So the day after they checked out. It's like he flew home, went back into a manic state, and lost his shit. And there it is. She's no longer with us. Or he planned it. He got away with it once, maybe, I don't care what they say about the newlywed lesbian couple and the creepy guy. He's creepy. He creeps around. I don't care what they say. I really don't. I believe maybe even he didn't fly home on that date. He was creeping around them, and then he flew home. I don't know. Anybody can look it up and try to find it, but just something's not right. They're correlated somehow. I don't care what they say. I think they're waiting to find him, and then they're going to go, aha, same weapon. You see what I'm saying? They're not going to tell us because, everybody's already out there with their pitchforks and their torches. So I think he did something to those women. Also, everybody does. The whole country does. You can't be standing in front of that store. And 6 days later, her and her newlywed wife's body are found. And maybe they weren't in the tavern that night. Maybe that's why, he's the creepy guy. If he's creeping around at night, we already know he creeps around at night. We got a picture proving it. He creeps around at night. He likes the night. He likes the moon. Remember the whole wolf mask? The man in the black sweatpants, he drew this. White shirt, black sweatpants. Okay. Sorry, got a phone call. I will text her. So, he drew this picture. The guy's in a white shirt, black pants, wolf head over a human man's head, knives and blood all over his clothes. He drew this. He put it on social media. He put it on social media. You didn't know it was a mask until the black light. Then it was obvious. Mind blown? Right. All the signs were there. And they were ignored. Those parents of hers should have been... those parents of hers should have been following his crypticness. They should have. Following his crypticness. They should have. Someone's going to marry your daughter. You need to know everything about them. Sorry. Not sorry. I'm a helicopter mom. And I even have conversations. So, let's talk. I just want you to know that my daughter has the strongest support system in the world. Or my son, but my son's a man, right? So, just letting you know. Letting you know, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's too many of these stories out there. It scares the shit out of me. I'm serious. It breaks my heart. But my daughter's got an edge to her. She's not Mary freaking Poppins either. So that's good. She puts up with no shit, which is good. But it can be, she's kind of an all or nothing. She's not really like a, let's compromise. No. You know, like when it comes to, I don't know. I can't explain it, and I'm not going to talk about her. So there's that. So anyway, I'm going to let you go. I got to make a phone call, and I got stuff to do today. So let's keep an eye on what's going on. Hopefully they find Brian soon. Get him the mental help he needs. Yeah, because if he goes into a dark depression, he could be suicidal. So, yeah, learn to read, people. Teach your daughter what's acceptable and what's not in life. They don't have to put up with anything they don't want to. How about that? So, anyway, guys, I hope you all have a great day. I'm going to go heat up the rest of my coffee and get on with it. And thank you for the Etsy store orders. If you don't know what I'm talking about, get in my Etsy store and check out my jewelry, my soaps, my face creams, my store, No Madness Boutique. It's in the About section. Everything is handmade in my store and way less than you would pay anywhere else. Anyway, guys, I love y'all. Hope y'all have a great day.